this tutorial, I am going to explain you how to dump your Verilog code into a Spartan 3 FPGA board. The board can be of anything. The only difference is the user constraints file that you're gonna write in your Xilinx tool. Because this is Spartan 3 board we have readily available with us. So we are gonna write the constraints file of this Spartan 3 board, and we'll show you the step-by-step process of how to write the Verilog code and how to synthesize it and how to do mapping, routing, all those things, and then how to dump that program that you have written into the Spartan 3 FPGA board that is available with us. And this is the board that is available with us, and this cable is the power cable which is connected to the 5-volt power supply. And here you're gonna see it is turning on, so power supply is coming to this FPGA board, and here this cable is to dump your program or bitstream file that is generated in your Xilinx tool. That bitstream file will be dumped into this Spartan 3 board using one more cable. Since this board is not the latest one, it is Spartan 3 board. In the Vertex or Nexus 4 DDR, all these FPGA boards, there will be only single cable, which is the USB cable, which is both. It can be used for both dumping the program as well as getting the power supply through the same cable. So without wasting time, let's get into the program.
I pre-assume that you guys know how to write Verilog code for full adder. In this code I have written full adder using instantiation of 2 half adders, and if not, you can refer to my earlier tutorials. One more important thing is you should know how to write a user constraints file. How to create that means you can right click there on new source and then you click on that constraints file and you give the name. Since I have already written, I am closing this, and we'll be getting back on this what is the significance of this UCF. In the meantime, let me tell you how to write this user constraints file. You simply open the browser and then in the Google you type that Spartan 3 master constraints file. Okay, you simply type that in the Google, Spartan 3 master constraints file, then you just search for that particular thing. So there are 2 ways and this is one way, and you can open that link and you can simply copy paste the entire lines of code that was given there, which is called as user constraints file. You simply select the entire thing and you copy that and you paste in the Xilinx window. I'm copying that, and now you open your Xilinx and you simply paste. This will be blank when you create, and then you can paste here. That is one way of writing the user constraints file. And there is also other way. You can see there are user constraints and IO pin using the plan ahead. So you can double click on that and then will be there will be a plan ahead window opening. You can double click on that. It's not opening, so just double click once again on that. It will take some time, please be patient till it's open. And then you click on S, then the plan ahead window will be opening. Since we already created that, let this be loaded, and once after done you can close this. Yeah, since we already given those, so those will be available in the bottom. The bottom you can see already that all ports and scalar ports are for clocks, and in the all ports you can see that A, B, scene and sum and carry. Scalar ports are not there because these are all like all the ports that are present, so you can select from here also. But since we are already copy pasted the entire thing, here it will be coming by default, so you can close this. Just see the 2 ways to write the user constraints file. If you look here in the user constraints file, there are different interfacing things. Like on the board there will be different things present, like push buttons, LEDs, and these digital to analog converter, analog to digital converter, clock inputs, and all those things. Many more things will be there. So this UCF indicates that you are creating an interface between the code that you are writing and the things that are present on the board. Now you have to give the names here. You can see I am giving A for particular pin H13, and for V4 I am giving as B, and for K17 I am giving as C in, like that. So for the push buttons I am giving as inputs A, B, C in, and at the LEDs I will be taking my output. And here you can see I am taking my output sum at F12 LED that is present on the board, and my carry out C0 I am taking at E12 that will be present on the board, which I will be showing the hardware demo. On the board I will be showing where these LEDs and all will be located. So once we are done with that, you just synthesize and then implement design and then generate program file. But if you click directly on the program file, then all the above steps will be carried out. So synthesis is already done. It will take slightly some time. Now the translating is also done, and then it will be doing mapping and then place and route step. Once after those two steps, it will be creating a programmable file which is of the extension .bit, which is called as bitstream file also. That bitstream file need to be dumped. So let's wait, the process is going on. The translation and mapping is done, and once this place and route step got completed, then the implement design also will be getting a green tick. But there will be in some cases when you are designing a high-end modules and all, you will get warnings which are okay. So you can ignore the warnings also, but just go through what kind of warnings are there, whether they are port mismatches or what kind of warnings are present, and if they are okay to ignore, then you can ignore the warnings also. Here you can see the place and route step is also been done. Then a programming file is being generated, which is nothing but a bitstream that is generating. That bitstream need to be dumped into the board. Okay. So yeah, you can see that bitstream file is also generated in this step. It's time to dump the code into the board. Now you click on that configure target device and click on OK. Now an impact window will be opened. In that, click on the boundary scan. After this step, the board should be turned on. You switch on the power supply and then right click at the space that was showing here, and then you click on initialize chain. Once you are done with that, then the board will be identified, and then you click on S, and then you load with the bit file, .bit file that is generated. You go to the location where the .bit file is stored and you open that so that it will be loaded into that. Now here proms and all are PROMs and all are not required, so click on no, and then you bypass the other two. You simply click on that bypass and once again, and now you apply, that is the family type of the device that we are using, that is 500E, and then you click on apply and then OK. Now you have to right click and then you have to load the program.
Then you can see it's being programmed. You bring the, once you are done with that, then it will be showing as dumped. This shows that the program is dumped, and in the user constraints file you have seen that this H13 pin that is present here is A, and this push button that is present V4 is B, and K17 is C. Now this LED that is present F12 corresponds to sum and E12 corresponds to carry. Now here you see, if I press on this A, it means ABC 1 0 0, so your sum is 1 and your carry is 0. If I release this button and if I, let's say if I press 2, so A and B are 1, then you can see here the carry is 1 and the sum is 0. Now if I press all the three, so ABC equal to 1 1 1, then you can see that both LEDs are glowing here, which indicates that you can test any cases here. There are 8 combinations for 3 inputs. So if you click 1, then your sum will be 1. If you click 2, any two, then your carry will be 1. And if you click all the 3, then your sum as well as carry both will be 1. So in this way you can dump the Verilog code. As soon as you are done with that, you please switch off the disconnect the power supply to the board, because if you leave the board connected to the power supply for a long time, then this board gonna spoil. So in this way you can dump your Verilog code onto the hardware board or FPGA board, and you can verify the results on onboard simulations. You can check whether they are matching with the input combinations that you are thinking to get. So as simple as that, and it is very interesting if you're gonna explore more by dumping codes or programs onto the board and to verify the simulations. Apart from these LEDs, there are many other components which you can use, like you have seen in the user constraints file. You can explore all those things and you can do wonders using FPGA board. So hope you guys learned something new in this tutorial. That's all for this video. See you in the next one.